So let's do a walk down the history path here. When COVID first happened, I know a lot of lenders just froze, like they stopped writing new loans. Did RCN write new loans at the time, or did you guys stop at the time?
Yeah, it's a great question. And one at the time was, oh my God, it was so scary. It was so scary because, we have all these employees and we have a responsibility to them that we take very seriously. And we're like, okay, if we don't have the ability to fund loans, which we paused all lending for about 3 months, what are we going to do? Well, what we did was we worked on process and procedure, and we basically lived off the existing loans that we had and waited for the market to settle down. When that market settled down going into the summer, we began re-lending again. Fortunately, we didn't have to lay anybody off, which was a big relief, because at the end of the day, what we've built was really hard to build. And the value of our team members is everything. And we felt very fortunate. We just felt so fortunate that we were able to get back at it relatively quickly. And then, by the fall, it was like amazing. A lot of you being driven by the rise in housing values, that investors were back in the game so quickly.
Yes. Who would have thought, right? It's nothing like we ever seen before.
Yeah, I'll be fine never seeing that again. I'll be fine if there's no more pandemics.
You and me both. Yeah, that social distancing was tough.
Yeah, I mean, it was so difficult, especially for some of our contractors working with our investors, right? Like the investors were like, let's go. But the contractors were having to deal with different rules and regulations depending on what geography they were in. And it really slowed things down, right? Well, what doesn't stop? Taxes, insurance, any sort of mortgage, all that keeps going no matter how fast or slow you're going on the project. It was a real difficult time for investors.
So we all hope that will not happen again. But can you maybe foresee at what event would trigger, unless, the world fall down, but what would trigger something like that for RCN to say, okay, we're not doing new loans today?
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at the macro environment that we're in today and the well documented shortages of housing virtually in every single geography across our land. It's hard to see how that demand is going to be squashed, right? You got a couple things going on here. You have migration into the United States that has increased the demand for the pool housing that's already existing. In addition, you have a cohort of the United States population that is maxing out between the age of 29 and I believe it's 38, which are the prime home buying years for individuals. We have the largest cohort in, I think, the last 100 years of individuals in that age group. That's also putting it more demand on the existing housing stock. And then you throw on top of that what we discussed earlier, which is the the long-term interest rates with those low rates that's locking in the existing inventory. And you say to yourself, I can't imagine how demand is just not going to continue for the foreseeable future. And that's what keeps us so optimistic, right? Even with the interest rate rises, even with all the challenges of the economy potentially slowing down, the demand is there for the housing. And we feel like both on the investor side and the owner-occ side, it's going to continue.
Yeah, so this episode is pre-recorded. And, this year I talked to a lot of investor established and new behind, not on the microphone, public information, of course. And it seems like many people this year had a really challenging year. Are you experiencing something similar, with the investor you encounter? Because what you said is optimistic, but we got to get over this year, end of 2024.
We feel very fortunate to have one of the best years we've ever had in the history of the company. We like to think it's because of the hard work that the men and women of RCN Capital do every day to make sure that investors are provided with a certainty of close and a certainty of capital. We're a big wholesale lender, so we have a tremendous number of correspondent partners out there. For those that don't know what wholesale means, it means we have smaller lenders around the country that will access our capital to deploy into communities. We take that business very seriously. And we think that because of all those things, it's gotten us to one of the best years we've ever had in the company. And we weren't sure of that going into this year, especially with all the recession talk, a lot of negativity. But it does go back to this housing shortage. The housing shortage doesn't guarantee that a lender's going to have a good year. We just feel like the hard work that we've put in has gotten us there, and our belief in our team and investing in our team through education and partnerships and really a future that's going to be bright going forward.
What other trend should investors be keeping an eye on over the next few years beside the shortage of, housing?
Oftentimes, especially more respected and regional and sort of folks that have been around for a while in the investment game, some of the things that they rely on in their investment theory is 100% employment trends. So many investors spend time thinking about where are the jobs going? And if you follow the jobs with your investment plan of attack, generally you will be rewarded with good returns. And we've seen this over and over again in the United States. The areas, and they're all the usual suspects, the Texas, the Carolina, to some respect, Florida, Arizona. There's other areas, Ohio, believe it or not, a lot of investment. These areas that are growing jobs above the national mean, investors are following those jobs with investment solutions. If I was a full-time investor, that's where I'd be going. I would follow the jobs, V.
That's amazing. That's really good advice, actually, Jeff.
Yeah, it's just, if you think about it, and it's not just big corporations relocating to other areas, but even all the support jobs that are often created by these, everybody's got to need somewhere to live. And typically these jobs that are being created in existing communities, there's just not enough housing. And investors are playing a pivotal role finding those solutions for the folks moving into those areas.
There's a lot of negative articles about investors, but I feel like I truly believe we actually do more goods than harm to the community, because of what we do.
Yeah, if you think back to how we started RCN, it was taking houses that no one even wanted on their street, literally. Like, families were living around these houses, and they were like, if we could just get rid of this house that's abandoned and an eyesore, right? The capital wasn't coming from the banks that were, oh, by the way, short selling and fork. They were coming from the private sector to fix these homes up, right? And then providing a place for families to live. That private capital that's going in to finding solutions for housing, it's capitalism at its best. I think you said it best, Pete.
I'm sorry for this interruption. I've been asked a lot about passive investment, and I understand that there is nothing passive about being a landlord unless you can find a great property management company. So if you own an Airbnb, a vacation rental, or a short-term rental, and you are looking to free up your time, contact our team at Buzz Vacation Rentals at 281-549-8432, or check out our website at www.buzzvacationrentals.com.